You're listening to Swell Radio, Personal Stories.
I'm Matt Lee. I fell in love with surfing on Croyd Beach, North Devon, just after A-levels. Initially, just being bashed around and seeing my friends further out who were better than me, managing to catch waves, and I couldn't get past the white water. But after a lot of persuasion and a huge amount of effort, I paddled out, and then just sitting amongst the other surfers out in the swell was just amazing. Since then, I've managed to have some incredible experiences surfing, been lucky enough to surf all around the world, at various places in Europe, Australia, Indonesia, and recently West Africa. One of my most eventful trips was to North Scotland with a group of my best mates. So basically, after driving all night, we arrived at Thurso, this fabled village in the north of Scotland. And frankly, it was pretty depressing. It was pouring with rain, dawn was just coming up, dingy, looked really dull. But next morning, when the sun came up, we were able to witness the surf in all its glory. We went to Thurso main beach, and there it's just amazing, barrelling waves, just like you see on the North Shore, but on the North Shore of Scotland. The main difference, of course, being the temperature. Thurso is a rocky slab where the surf lines up really nicely on certain conditions. We had an offshore wind, and it was about 6 foot. And the beauty of Thurso is not only is there a small keyhole, but there's also a clean harbour to paddle out in, so you can always avoid massive sets. Managed to get some really quite good, fast, right-hand waves there. Really where it walls up, you've got time to do a few manoeuvres and then try and get as near into the tube as you can. I was on the inside having wiped out and just turned round to paddle out, and I saw my mate catch quite a nice but small wave tucked into an inside barrel. As he came up, he was flapping his arms around, wondered what was wrong. And immediately he washed up into me, and I could see that the board had gone straight into his eye. And already, even despite the cold water and it only being a couple of seconds before, his eye was massively swollen, puffed up like he'd been beaten up. But the worst and most worrying was a little bit of blood was just seeping out into the water around his eye. So I grabbed his board, waved my other mate in, and we carefully manoeuvred him up out of the surf, which was still bashing us, to the van. We jumped in the van, still in all our wetsuits, chucked the boards in the back, and drove him straight to the local hospital, which we knew was only 5 minutes away. We'd had a number of visits there previously when another one of my friends had smashed his head and had stitches. We took him into the hospital, and a nurse came and checked him out and called a doctor immediately, still dripping wet in all our wetsuits as we were standing in the waiting room. He then checked him out and said, well, he'll be alright, he'll be able to see. So we left him there, chucked his clothes on a bench and went back into the surf. Other injuries include a number of broken ribs where I've fallen off onto the side of the board or onto the fin of the board. The worst thing about a broken rib is you can't really surf with it. Actually paddling out is fine, but sitting on the board with the motion of the wave is impossibly painful. I travel to work every day on the tube, London Underground, and when I'm there, squashed in with all the other passengers, I wish I was in the barrel of a wave in the surfer's tube. Recently I went to Sierra Leone with work. Just before we were due to go to the airport on the way home, I knew we had 4 hours spare, and I managed to divert the driver to the local beach. And there was a nice clean left-hander coming in. Luckily for me, I managed to find someone who was able to hire me a surfboard, and I managed to get a quick 40 minutes in. Amazing experience, beautiful backdrop with palm trees, tropical white sands and rainforests into the mountains, and crystal clear waves, glassy and fast, real speedy left-handers. So after a quick 40-minute dip, unfortunately there was no shower or anything to get washed up on, and I then had a 24-hour journey home. I'm always busy with work and family, but I've learnt there's always time for a surf.
That was Matt Lee's surf story.